In this section, we're going to discuss testing and proof of concepts. We're going to start off with some important considerations to take into account when conducting a proof of concept. One of the main considerations is how to reproduce your on-premises environment in the cloud. And while this may not be a like-for-like environment, configuring the cloud environment as close to the on-premises environment reduces the number of changes that may be required in order to migrate and run existing workloads in the cloud. And in configuring your cloud environment, pay particular attention to any performance differences between the on-premises environment and the cloud and how that may affect the performance of migrated workloads. And also consider cost differences between the on-premises environment and the cloud. The type of services being used in the cloud and the configuration of those services may have an impact on cost. And usually there's more than one way of connecting an on-premises environment to the cloud. So carefully consider the performance differences between the various options, particularly in relation to latency. Let's also consider some of the things you may want to take into account when planning your proof of concept. It is important to have in advance a list of application use cases for your proof of concept. Also define in advance the products and technologies that need to be investigated and tested during the proof of concept. Performance and scalability requirements also have to be clearly defined, as well as expected consistency guarantees. Also consider the failover mechanisms that can be leveraged in order to achieve high availability and resiliency, and take into account networking requirements of your workloads, as well as best practices recommended by the cloud provider. We are now going to outline some of the considerations for the design phase. In the design phase, carefully consider the scope of the proof of concept. Also ensure the validity of any context or assumptions. Ensure the success criteria is clearly defined and the business impact or outcome measurable and achievable. This concludes our discussion on testing and proof of concepts.